Lastly, we have another executive order that President Trump signed relating to independent agencies. This executive order would establish important oversight functions in the Office of Management and Budget and its subsidiary office, OIRA, supervising independent agencies and many of their actions, and also reestablishes the longstanding norm that only the President or the Attorney General can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
Thank you very much, Will. That was the primary purpose of this conference, to explain that they're all very important in their own way. Fertilization, I've been saying that we're going to do what we have to do, and I think the women and families, husbands, are very appreciative of it.
So yeah, you might be wondering, how did we mix in fertilization with Donald Trump now decides what the laws are? Well, if you are a Trump supporter, or pro-life, as you would call yourselves possibly as well, I suggest you watch my video from last night, because I think that explains exactly why we're getting this press conference. There is an attempt in court to stop Trump's actions when it comes to U.S. aid for a very simple reason. He is endangering Americans, and it tells the story of a man whose wife went through hard struggles with fertility, finally became pregnant, and there are agreed upon contracts when it comes to this job with the United States government, and the Trump administration broke them. His wife needed to be medevaced out of a foreign country, and Donald Trump stopped it. His administration stopped it. Doge stopped it. And what happened after they finally got help from a senator to fix these illegal actions? The wife had already hemorrhaged. She could no longer be moved. And now, in the court document, they talk about how the United States is planning to illegally basically abandon these people in a foreign nation without housing or health care, with him, his wife, his unborn child, and his daughter. That is one story. That's one story that is probably going to get quite a bit of media coverage. That's a story that will definitely get quite a bit of media coverage if the wife and unborn child die due to the actions of Doge and Donald Trump. So, to try to combat that, they know that's starting to spread. They are now talking about their concepts of a plan to make fertility treatment cheaper. But also Donald Trump decides what the laws are, because he's starting to lose in court. Today there was someone that was, I think it was a temporary restraining order, they get their job back, because it appears they can prove that they were illegally fired by Trump. Not only that, many of the other cases which Trump won, if you want to call it that, the judges make it very clear that Trump only won because he hasn't done the illegal action yet. He's just said he's going to do the illegal action, or he hasn't reached far enough for an immediate intervention, but what he's doing still could be and appears to fall under being illegal. They just aren't doing a restraining order for now. Even the wins in court, many of them are starting to look like losses. So now Donald Trump decides the law. Which means, no he doesn't. No he doesn't. Elon Musk decides what the law is in America. That's what the announcement was. That's where we're at. People go, you keep saying constitutional crisis. All they have, literally, what else do you call this? They just have to go, well, we're just the long-standing norm. That isn't a long-standing norm. Trying to rewrite history. Which, I mean, would work better if they'd gotten rid of the Department of Education prior, instead of, just now. And of course, he talks more in this about tariffs, wanting to go after the EU. Because that's what the American people want right now. When they go shopping and they buy their eggs, they go, I need tariffs. I need pregnant women to be dying in foreign nations because America abandoned them. I really, really need that. I really need Trump to be declaring what is law and what isn't so that he can make sure all of his people that might be breaking the law get away with it. That's what I really need. And then, of course, while the Trump administration is yelling, freedom of speech, they've kicked out the Associated Press. The government has kicked out the Associated Press from certain briefings from Air Force One. And when asked about it, it's due to their free speech. We have parts of the government wanting AOC to be charged with a crime for reading out the rights people living in America have. They've admitted on the news she did nothing but explain the legal rights that people have. But these legal rights also apply to immigrants who came into the country legally or not. And because of that, they're trying to find a way to charge her for letting people know what their rights are. In what world, in what country does it make sense to have knowing your rights to be illegal? I guess the one where Donald Trump decides what the law is, right? See, I thought we had things like the courts and the Supreme Court, but he's losing there. He's either actively losing or he's being told you're going to lose. You might not get that restraining order, but then you're going to lose in a few months. And when you lose in a few months, we're going to have to pay the back pay. And he's trying to rush all of this. It's mentioned in the video I covered last night that he's trying to rush all of this because he wants to do as much damage as possible, shut down as much as possible before we've reached the deadline for the budget. Because whatever he doesn't shut down has to be paid for. And then when we reach that, he can try to do possibly, getting rid of Medicaid and things like that Elon Musk is saying. It's a target. Medicaid, Social Security. You might say, well, the Republicans will never go for that. President Elon is targeting it. And he's been getting his way so far. He had it listed. The United States was looking to spending $400 million on battle Teslas? That got removed afterwards after it got called out. Doesn't mean we aren't going to spend that money because President Elon told us to. It just means it'll be on less paperwork. Elon kept saying that he was going to release all this proof that he's found all this fraud on Valentine's Day. Then he didn't do it. Then it was the weekend. Then he didn't do it. And then he listed he found all this fraud in Social Security, and it turns out that he didn't. These people he claimed were dead and still receiving money. If you look at the data, it says that they're listed in the system and they're not being paid because they're dead. He can't even understand the data he has access to, the data he shouldn't have access to. And that's part of the fight in court is what is Elon allowed to have? Because you might say Elon's running Doge. Well, the White House is now claiming he isn't running Doge. Why? Because they found out that could break the law. Well, then they gave him a new title. But if he has that new title, the things he's doing sound like they might be breaking the law. I don't know why they're even pretending. Just give him the official title, President Elon.